tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. I went to the Adams County meeting. I made about halfway through, and I'm like, yeah, I got better things to do. They're talking about stuff that has nothing to do with what I want to get done. And so good morning. Good to see you, Leisure. Good to see you, Amber. Good to have you both. So I'm going to tell you something. I don't give a fuck what halftime show you watched yesterday. I don't fucking care. I got up this morning. All right. It's all Kid Rock and Bad Bunny. It was 20 minutes before I found out the score of the actual game. There are no videos about how well this team did or that team did or anything else. No, it's just a bunch of people complaining about the other halftime show and more division. Just more division, man. No, thank you. So I watched Red Dead Redemption. That's what I did. Because you really care, don't you? I also care what you're eating. Don't we have better things to do than worry about this stuff? All right. Who cares? Who cares? Amber says, I just asked my coworker which one she watched. She didn't know there was a Kid Rock one. I didn't really watch any of it. Yeah. My team wasn't playing, so I didn't watch. Anyway, that's a night. You clean. Yeah. See, Virgos have priorities. But a lot of people like to get together, have fun. It's their thing. I'm just, I like my Broncos. That's about all I watch. Oh, I used to watch a lot more football, but it just, yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. We don't care. We don't care. It's more the division than anything. Personally, I prefer Kid Rock, but that doesn't mean I hate Bad Bunny. Never even heard a Bad Bunny song. Okay, but just by the name, I can tell you now, I'm probably not gonna like his music. Probably a cool dude. I don't know. I have no idea. All right. If he wants to put together a band where a bunch of girls, put their big old booties in the screen, that's on him, man. I will tell you this, nobody will ever beat Prince as the number one halftime show ever. Okay? So both of them sucked compared to Prince. How about that? There we go. Ever says I only care that I paid for the 2026 on Friday. There we go. See, we're having another good year. So let's get on to joke time here. You know what time it is? You know what time it is? What time is it, Eddie? Eddie, do you know what time it is? Anybody that's anybody? All right. Eddie Murphy. Talk about his grandma. I've been rocking Chiefs gear every day since paying for those Donko tickets. Yeah, I'm sure you have. All right. Let's get to it. Dion's Daily Funnies. Went to a bar last night. Good times. Only a 15-minute walk. I just told this the other day. But the walk home took 45 minutes. The difference was staggering. I recently took a poll. and found that 100% of people in the tent were angry when it collapsed. But they were. That's what you get for taking a poll. It's what you get. I've told all of these. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna just scroll. There we go. Okay. What looks like half a tree? The other half. The other half. A little slow here. Two guys walked into a bar. The third one ducked. Why do dads take an extra pair of socks while golfing? In case they get a hole in one. What do you call a Frenchman who has been attacked by a cat? Claude. And you don't even have to be French. You don't even have to be French. Not required. My 6-year-old daughter has lined up all of her dolls towards the outdoor grill. Looks like she's preparing for some kind of barbecue. All right, last one. How can you tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator? Easy. One will see you later, the other will see you in a while. Yep. All right. It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Actually, it's a great day. All right. One guy on the laugh track has a really hearty chuckle. Yeah, it's the second one. It's this one right here. It's like, fuck you, dude. That one. Yeah. Morning, Michelle. Good to see you. Yeah. So I guess we should get to getting the spiritual angle. It is today's daily reflection. Yeah, I just couldn't come up with it. And we get to read out a language of the heart. So that's why I picked it. We won't get to read out a language of the heart much. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm your host, or otherwise known as the Podfada. All right. Say my name. Little never-ending story there. If you're here, please say hello. I demand that you say hello if you watch my stuff. Yeah, we know that doesn't. Yeah, I don't care. Just I didn't care what you watched during halftime yesterday. I don't care about a lot. I gotta have that attitude though, because otherwise I will get caught up in everything, man. I will. And considering everything going on, yeah, I don't care. Quit filling up my timeline. All right, so I'm going to do the reading first, and then we'll get to the other part. But I'm going to do it pretty fast. Actually, I'm just going to read the last part. No, we're just going to go straight to the book because I'm going to cover it. Otherwise, I'm going to cover everything twice, and then it'll be weird. So, okay. But what I'm going to do is when we get to the part in the book that's in the daily reflection, we will go back to the daily reflection and read what they had to say. Is that fair? Yes, it's fair. Great. Awesome. Thank you. Spiritual Experiences, July 1962. It is the intention of the grapevine to carry the occasional accounts of spiritual experience, and it still does. You read the grapevine? I would like to say I do, but I don't know that I really have the money for it. I know it's, but the Grapevine is what we call meeting in print, man. And if you have not checked out the Grapevine, I'm pretty sure I could probably get it and not have to pay for it as much. It's not that much. It really isn't. And I'll tell you now, the cost really isn't the deal. I just haven't done it. So we're just gonna be up. But I have read the Grapevine a lot. We call it a meeting in print, man, and it's a great publication. It's a fantastic publication. Uh, Amber has meetings on it and stuff with their sponsorship family, which I think is pretty freaking cool, man. So, to this interesting project, I would like to say a few introductory words. There is a very natural tendency to set apart those experiences or awakenings which happen to be sudden, spectacular, or vision producing. To set apart these experiences, right? Uh, like the fact that he had it, like the fact that Bill had a sudden spiritual experience, and he feels like that sets him apart. And let's not look for the terminal uniqueness. Everybody's experience is going to be kind of different, and it's okay. It's all right because that experience, spiritual experience, was made for you, not for me, not for Bill W., not for Dr. Bob or Ebby or Chuck C. or anybody else in the world. No, it was made and designed particularly for you. Out of all the billions of people in the world, it's something special, man. All right. Amber says it's just them getting it to you. Yeah. Amber say we're talking about the Grapevine because they haven't been getting it to her on time. Amber still haven't gotten February. Emailed them this morning. We will see. Yeah, we're such Virgos. Where's my Grapevine? Where's my Grapevine? I pay for that. Therefore, any recital of such cases always produces mixed reactions. Some will say, I wish I could have an experience like that. Others, feeling that this whole business is too far out of the mystic limb for them, or maybe hallucinatory, after all, will say, I just can't buy this business. I can't understand what these people are talking about. And I understand both these sides because, gosh, it sounds really uncomfortable to have a sudden displacement. Now, I'm going to tell you something. My brain doesn't like that thought. Why does it not like it? Because I have no control over it. That's why we call it faith. Because there's not much I have no control over the outcome on this particular thing. But then you're going to find the cool stuff in it, right? Right. Yeah, and Leisure brings up a good point. Don't forget the Olympics are going on. Yeah, remember the Olympics? Yeah, you're arguing about their performance. No. Leisure says the best performance I watched on TV this weekend was the raising of the Italian flag and the singing of the Italian national anthem at the Olympics opening ceremony. Now that I'm about. Yeah. It's not often on TV you get to see them do the national anthem, but when they do it, I'm listening. It's just beautiful, man. Right. Anyway, as most AAs have heard, I was a recipient in 1934 of a tremendous mystic experience or illumination. It was accompanied by a sense of intense white light, by a sudden gift of faith in the goodness of God, and by a profound conviction of his presence. At first, it was very natural for me to feel that this experience staked me out for somebody very special. At the same time, it did, though. Okay. If Bill wouldn't have done, I'm going to have to say, Bill and Bob were chosen by God to present this thing to us. That was their job. But that doesn't mean that they're any better, bigger, or anything like that than the rest of us. And that's what he's trying to say. All right. And he's trying to say that just because he had that spiritual experience doesn't mean that you're not going to have your own. And just because he had a sudden spiritual experience didn't mean he didn't have to do the work. We still all got to do the work. No matter where your spiritual experience ends up, and we're talking about that first one, and you'll know it. You'll say things like, I feel different. Things seem different. All right. But as I look back now on this tremendous event, I can only feel very specially grateful. It now seems clear that the only special feature of my experience was the electric suddenness and the overwhelming immediate conviction that it carried to me. It's the only difference. It was the timing. Maybe yours wasn't overwhelming. The way I see it is my first spiritual experience was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was perfect. It was made for me. It was tailored to what Dion is, right? Because not only am I reactive, but I also have PTSD and I'm ultra reactive when it comes to certain things. So I'm not sure I would have caught it. I would have reacted instead of listened, most likely. Now, the educational variety is what worked really well for me. It's happened over a period of time, and I'm learning and I'm learning and learning. Amber says, got to have back on the phone. Have a kick ass Monday, Amber. Love you. It now seems clear that the overwhelming, in all other respects, however, I am sure that my own experience was not in the least different from that received by every AA member who has strenuously practiced our recovery program. Now, in that matter, I don't quite agree. His was different than mine. I mean, literally different. But the outcome is the same. The outcome is the same. We get to work. We start doing these other things, right? So his experience happened in a short time, but we still kind of had the same experience, right? All right. But that timing matters. Now, this next paragraph is the daily reflection. So I'm gonna read it and then we'll go to the daily reflection. How often do we sit in AA meetings and hear the speaker declare, but I haven't yet got the spiritual angle. I hear it all the time. Do you help people find their higher powers? Because there's something weird about us alcoholics. Maybe it's not just alcoholics, maybe non-alcoholics go through it too. For some reason, we need to give it a name. We like our nouns. We do. It's like, well, I don't even know, because at least if we give it a name, it exists. And there it is. Right. It does help to put a name to it. And it doesn't have to be God. No. Prior to this statement, he had described a miracle of transformation which had occurred to him, not only his release from alcohol, but a complete change in his whole attitude to life and living it. It is apparent to nearly everyone else that he has received a great gift, and that this gift was all out of proportion to anything that might have been expected from simple AA activities, such as the admission of alcoholism and the practice of 12 steps. All right. What are they saying? We are going to see it before them. I tout on this a lot, so I'm not going to do it much right now. Encourage them. If you're seeing it and they don't, tell them. Oh, they'll figure it out. Come on, just tell them. We don't need secrets. They'll figure it out. They're going to figure it out because you're going to tell them. Oh, so we in the audience smile and say to ourselves, well, that guy is just reeking with the spiritual angle, except that he doesn't seem to know it yet. We well know that this questioning individual will tell us 6 months in a year, hence that he has found faith in God. Yeah. So now we're going to go to the reflection. All right. So that was Language of the Heart, page 275. A spiritual experience can be the realization that a life which once seemed empty and devoid of meaning is now joyous and full. In my life today, daily prayer and meditation, coupled with living in 12 steps, has brought an inner peace and a feeling of belonging which was missing when I was drinking. Yeah, it's when we finally figure out what our higher power is that we start to feel like we belong. We've had a couple people in our group having a hard time finding their higher power. But once we did help them find their higher power, man, they latched onto the program. They did. And then you watch all this fervor going on. Now they're volunteering to read. Well, they're more like being voluntold, but still works. All right. Michelle says, from 12 on, I searched for the spiritual experience that Bill had. Turns out mine was meant to be learned after numerous experiences, and yes, it continues to this day. Absolutely. You don't get one spiritual experience. I've had a few spiritual experiences today. It happens all the time. All right. I'll be working with a sponsee. It happens Saturday. Always happens on Saturday with my sponsee. What page are we on? And wherever I open the book is where we're at. These are indicators. These are indicators that we are doing. That's God saying you are on the right path. Whatever you are doing, that is correct. Weird? No. Spiritual experience. Spiritual experience. Drinking, Leisure says drinking equals bad, prayer equals good. So simple. Moreover, he may then be displaying the spiritual qualities and performance that I myself have never been able to duplicate, my sudden spiritual experience notwithstanding. So, what did you just say, Michelle? He tried to recreate it too, and it didn't work. So, nowadays, when AA comes to me, hoping to find out how one comes by those sudden experiences, I simply tell them that in all probability, they've had one just as good. And that theirs is identical, accepting it has strung over a longer period of time. Right. The one thing that we do not want to compare is our spiritual experiences. These are personal. They are not to be compared. They don't need to be. It's yours. And it's okay to hold on to it. It's okay to be a little selfish about it. It's all right. Yeah. Right. I'm very, very, very selfish about my higher power. Okay. Because it's the one thing that's all mine. Otherwise, I have to share everything else. And I'm a selfish person. I kind of need it. Right. Now, I'm not selfish in the way that I used to be selfish. Now, I'm more selfish on trying to help people. Right. But what happens when I help people? Well, it makes Dion feel good. So what? I mean, what am I really going after? Right. Now, if the alcohol didn't tear up my life and actually made things better and made me a better person, maybe it would have worked. But no, I had to find a different way. Then I go on to say that if their transformation in AA extending over 6 months has been condensed into 6 minutes, well, then they might have seen the stars too. But we all end up seeing the stars eventually. We all get to be able to, okay. If you do the work, you will be rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence. Yes. What is the fourth dimension of existence? We just see things differently now. That's it. Now I get to see the forest for the trees. Not everything is ugly. There are a lot of beautiful things in this world. Okay. And that's why I don't like getting caught up in the division because it fucks with my attitude. And then I don't get to see the beauty, man. Okay. Now I'm also allowing that to happen, aren't I? Yeah. See, there's this little thing. It says X mark at the top of the post. I hit it often. You know, Facebook and Instagram seem to think that just because I talk about this all the time, that I want to see ads for treatment centers, and that's all I want to see. I don't. What do I need to see? Their ads aren't even any good. I'm 10 years coming up on 10 years sober. I don't need treatment. I don't need sober living. At least direct the right ones towards me. All right. In consequences of these observations, I fail to see any great difference between the sudden experience and the more gradual ones. I don't think that there's much difference except the time. All right. They are certainly all of the same piece, and there is one sure test by them all. By their fruits ye shall know. There's the answer. Are you getting the fruits? Not the dead fruit that you used to collect. We're not talking about the dead fruit that you can ferment and turn into alcohol. Silly alcoholics. Leisure says, I love hearing you say coming up on 10 years, brother. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited about it. 10 years is where I went out last time. So this will be an evening out spot for Dion. When I hit this 10 years, I will have more total sober time than drinking time. Now, I drank for about 20 years total. The first time I got sober, I got 10 years, coming up on 10 years. So I'm looking forward to the balance this year of hitting that goal. I'm excited about it. It's in April. Maybe we should have a party or something. Hey, let's all go get drunk. See, jokes are coming, but by their fruits ye shall know. My cup runneth over because I do a lot of things in my community because I help a lot of people out. All right. Now I'm in the position to be able to do that. So this is why I think we should question no one's transformation, whether it be sudden or gradual. Yeah. I don't get to decide when somebody's spiritual experience is going to happen, and I can't force it either. It is supposed to happen when it is supposed to happen. You don't get a choice in this unless you are the one experiencing it. God's waiting on you. That's what he's waiting on. Are you earnest in the fact that you are seeking? Or when you made the decision, did you actually make the decision? See, God knows. All right. He's like waiting for it to be satisfied in your mind. And why is this? Because there's no way I could have seen what I needed to see until that point, until I was open minded enough to see it. All right. So we should question no one's transformation. All right. And we're talking about the spiritual experience. Right? Nor should we demand anyone's special type for ourselves. No. Oh. Because our own experience suggests that we are apt to receive whatever may be the most useful for our needs. And that's what I'm kind of saying. See, your needs are different than mine. Right? Where Dion might be working on self-worth, you might be working on patience. See? Different. Maybe you already had more patience than me. So therefore, it took a little bit less time or whatever, right? So we're going to open the 12 by 12 and do some reading. I'm at 30 minutes, and I usually like to go a little bit longer than that. So I'm just going to open this up where it looks like right here, step 5. What are we likely to receive from step 5? God, this goes right with this, right with it. Here we are, spiritual experiences. This fits right into what we were just talking about. Was it coincidence? No. For one thing, we shall get rid of that terrible sense of isolation we've always had. Yeah. See? The loneliness, the angst, all this stuff. was because I was not standing in the sunlight of the Spirit. And what step 5 does is it relieves me of the things that are blocking the sunlight of the Spirit. That's what step 5 does. This is where you will most likely feel the nearness to your Creator. This is where loneliness will vanish. This is where it happens. Step 5. All right. Almost without exception, alcoholics are tortured by loneliness. Even before our drinking got bad and people began to cut us off, nearly all of us suffered the feeling that we didn't quite belong. That's why I loved alcohol. It made me at least feel like I belonged, even though it may not have been true. All right. Damn, I'm kind of weird. I'm odd to a lot of people. But now I use that oddness to help other people. Yes, I do say weird things come out of my mouth. Okay. But it's entertaining and a lot of fun. So, all right. Do I feel like I belong now? Yeah, for the most part. Not always. I still kind of go through it every now and again. Right. But it happens less. And when it does happen, the amount of time that it happens is also less. Right. Why? Because I worked on my self-worth. All for this last year, that's what I worked on. It was one of my goals. Now I've got a new treatment plan. Whew. All right, so we didn't quite belong. Either we were shy and dared not draw near others, or we were apt to be good, noisy Goodfellows, craving attention and companionship, but never getting it. I was both of those, just depending on what was needed, at least to our way of thinking. Ooh. There was always that mysterious barrier we could neither surmount nor understand. It was as if we were actors on stage, suddenly realizing that we didn't know a single line of our parts. That's one reason we loved alcohol too much or too well. It let us act extemporaneously. That means without thought, being that noisy good fellow. All right, there it is. See, it helped me turn into a clown. Suddenly I was funny and all these other things. And this was at 13. I just wanted to belong, man, and it worked. Right. Then to double down on it, once I started drinking, I couldn't stop. That started happening about 15, 16. Because, see, I thought I was an adult, right? And I'd put the kids to bed. I'd sneak into my mom's room. I'd steal 2 beers, right? One was for MASH. One was for Taxi. Actually, it was Taxi, then MASH. And then I went to bed at 11, thinking I was an adult. That was 13. My grandson is now 13. There's no way I could have I can't match it in my head. It's weird. Way too young. Way too young to be thinking about drinking and sex. Yeah. It was as if we were actors, right? It let us act extemporaneously. But even back as boomeranged on us, we were finally struck down and left in terrified loneliness. When we reached AA, and for the first time in our lives stood among people who seemed to understand, the sense of belonging was tremendously exciting. Now, that didn't just happen to me in AA. That happened to me at 13, too, when I drank with other people for the first time. But I drank alone even from the start of my drinking career. Well, except for the summer of 84. Right? So, yeah, when I got into AA, even when I came into AA at 18 and I was in a halfway house for homeless alcoholics, the closest person to my age was 32 or 34. Right? But I still felt like I belonged. They didn't make me feel like I didn't belong. So, We thought the isolation problem had been solved, but we soon discovered that while we weren't alone anymore in the social sense, we still suffered many of the old pangs of anxious apartness. You see it happen a lot where people refuse to get to the fourth step. And you will feel you will yeah, you'll love the group, you'll like going, it'll kind of do what it needs to do, but there will be a part in your tummy that knows it's not quite true. You don't get some of the inside jokes. You can't laugh at some of the things because you haven't healed. Right? Go to the work and you will be a part of. Absolutely. Yeah. Do some service work. Get out of yourself. Until we had talked with complete candor of our conflicts and listened to someone else do the same thing, we still didn't belong. Step 5 was the answer, was the beginning of the true kinship with man and God. We're going to do one couple more paragraphs here. All right. This vital step was also the means by which we began to get the feeling that we could be forgiven no matter what we had thought or done. And that's part of the spiritual experience. The forgiveness that you have been forgiven for your derelictions. Huh. All right. Often it was while working on this step with our sponsors or spiritual advisors that we first felt truly able to forgive others, no matter how deeply we felt or they had wronged us. Now, why is that? Because you have been forgiven. Right? Let's talk about forgiveness a little bit, just a little bit. Most people want forgiveness so they can go to heaven. We alcoholics don't really think of it that way, or in Alcoholics Anonymous, we don't think of it that way. We are forgiven so that we can become a part of the brotherhood, and that's what matters to us, because that's heaven right here on earth, friends. The AA fellowship is heaven on earth. At least it is to me. But it wasn't until I could forgive, until I was forgiven. It wasn't until I was forgiven that I could even start to think of forgiving other people. Hey Nick, good to see you. What about self-forgiveness? What about forgiving yourself? Can't forgive other people unless you've forgiven yourself. Uh-huh. And are we really forgiving people, or are we just accepting them for what they are? It's more acceptance, because I'm not God and I can't handle forgiveness. My forgiveness only goes as far as it removes the guilt. That's as far as it goes. Other than that, I have no power over your forgiveness. Whether you're looking for forgiveness from me or not is not the point. No, you got to go get it from God. This is about cleaning your side of the street, not somebody else's. Now, once you have cleaned your side of the street, once you have cleaned up your backyard, then you start to sponsor. And then, yeah, you're going to help your sponsees pick up the trash in their yard. And then when yours gets a little dirty, they're going to be there for you to help you clean up the trash in your yard. And then your sponsee is going to turn into a friend. They're going to turn into a closed mouth friend. And then you're just going to do stuff together. I have 4 sponsees right now. 3 of them have already gone through the steps. All right. We're still going through the book. We're doing stuff. All right. Michelle says forgiving myself was the hardest. Absolutely was the hardest. Yeah. That's why you do it first, right? It was years before I forgave myself. Years. All right. But I had to, 4-step wasn't enough for me. I'd do a lot of therapy. So our moral inventory had persuaded us that all around forgiveness was desirable, but it was only when we resolutely tackled step 5 that we inwardly knew we would be able to receive forgiveness and give it to. Yeah. All right, one more paragraph because we got to talk about this too. Nick says, wow, call me out. Working on it right now. Yeah, dude. Honestly, I wasn't talk. You take it that way if you need it. I ju- I just want you to know I'm not here really calling anybody out. But if I'm reading your mail, then that's awesome. And what is that? It's a spiritual experience. Yes. Uh, no. Yeah, I don't call people out here. Well, maybe Amber a little bit because she gives me a lot of shit. But we're just giving each other a hard time. But it's good to see you, Nick. I'm glad you're working on that. Another great dividend. Oh, you're joking? Then I'm glad I took it the right way. Okay, good. That's just my yeah. I don't know, folks. Have you noticed that I have a slight codependency problem? Have you noticed it? Yeah. I'm ignoring it. I'm going to continue using it. Kidding. Another great dividend we may expect from confiding our defects to another human being is humility. A word often misunderstood. I understood it. I misunderstood it in the beginning. Absolutely. Right. To those who have made progress in AA, it amounts to a clear recognition of who we really are, followed by a sincere attempt to become what we could be. Therefore, our first practical move toward humility must consist of recognizing our deficiencies. Right? So, how can we make progress if we don't see what's wrong? Got to be aware of the problem first, right? But, you know, G.I. Joe was right. Knowing is half the battle. Look how long it took you to do your first step. Years. However long it took you to drink is how long it took you to do your first step, right? So recognizing no defect can be corrected unless we clearly see what it is. Well, but we will have to do more than see. The objective look at ourselves we achieved in step 4 was, after all, only a look. We look for what? Oh, we look forward to seeing your procedure. Yeah. Tomorrow, I'm not sure if I'll be doing a live tomorrow or not. Just so you know, um, I have a I have a minor procedure for a finger tomorrow. Um, I need prayers around making sure I get up in time. Been trying to get up earlier and earlier. I'm just really worried that I'm not going to be able to get up in time. So I'm going to go to bed way early tonight. I was going to I was going to reschedule. I'm like, no, Dion, no. We're going to work through this. We're gonna do it. Just prepare a little bit better and we'll be all right. All right. So, and what was that? Looking at a problem and coming up with a solution and doing the right thing. Right? Because I want to put it off. I do. There's part I don't want to have my finger stuck to my chest for 6 weeks. Nick says it's hard for me to understand humility because I was always told not to care what people think, but in depth, it definitely different. I'll cover that in a second. Let me finish this paragraph and then I'll cover that. All of us saw, for example, that we lacked honesty and tolerance, that we were beset at times by attacks of self pity or delusions of personal grandeur. But while this was a humiliating experience, it didn't necessarily mean that we had yet acquired much actual humility. Okay. We alcoholics confuse humiliating, and being humble or having humility. These are different words. It didn't necessarily mean that we had not yet acquired much actual humility, though now recognize our defects were still there. Something had to be done with them, and we soon found that we could not wish them away by ourselves. Right? So let's talk about I don't care what people think of me. Because I think all alcoholics go through this. All right. I think everybody in the world goes through this. Do I care what people think of me? Well, the short answer from this defiant alcoholic is going to be no. But that wouldn't be true. Wouldn't be true. Do I care what most people think of me? No, I don't know. I don't know them. Um, let's talk about the people that I don't know that listen to me. Do I care what those people think of me? Yes, I do. They're my listeners. They're my followers. I hope I'm helping. I hope that I'm making their life better. So, yes, I do kind of care in that sense, right? Do I care what my wife thinks? You bet your ass I do. Do I care what my kids think of me? Yes, I do, because I want to be a good example, right? So we do care what people think of us, but that does not apply to your self worth, right? So let's say I had a friend who gives me constructive criticism because they care what happens to me. In that case, I very much do care what they think of me. Now, maybe there's just some guy who doesn't know me that calls me a bunch of names. Do I care? No, I do not. That's name calling. It does nothing to help me improve. So that's kind of where I stand on it. Oh, and Nick says correct. So see, there's these landing spots, right? But we alcoholics think in these extremes, and we got to live in the gray. We got to live in the gray. That's where the balance is at. And you're going to find the beauty in the gray. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And let's remember, no one ever, ever